Hello, everyone. X-Wall Kill Bethelite here. And really, the end all be all with Jehovah's Witnesses is that Jehovah's Witnesses don't love Jehovah. That's the main reason we're saying everything that we're saying. Jehovah's Witnesses don't love Jehovah. And I can give you several points that we'll use to prove that. One is a personal experience that I had growing up in a household that was Jehovah's Witness. Mom, Jehovah's Witness. My father was not a Jehovah's Witness, but stepfather was. And there was a situation in the home where elders had to get involved. We had people that were disfellowshipped. And once a Jehovah's Witness loses a title such as elder or ministerial servant or pioneer, well, then it's not fun anymore. Because the relative that I'm speaking about got disfellowship. I think first they got reproved. And after they got disfellowshipped, this is a person who was an elder, of course, before that, ministerial servant, all that. They were celebrating or talking about Kwanzaa. They were having meetups with all kind of relatives that were not Jehovah's Witnesses. They were going out and seeing other women and all kinds of different things. Like, once a person loses a title, you got to ask yourself, well, why does all that integrity disappear? Why wouldn't they keep their integrity based off their love for Jehovah? Isn't their love for Jehovah greater than their love for an organization and the structure of that organization, which is these titles: elders, ministerial servant, governing body, pioneer, so on and so forth? All that is the bolts and screws, so to speak, that make up just a group of men, an organization which is totally, completely separate from God. But with Jehovah's Witnesses, through personal experience, I've seen people, once they were disfellowshipped, once they lose a title, well, who cares about Jehovah? I can't comment anymore. People don't talk to me at the hall anymore. As a matter of fact, the whole issue with the disfellowship people not speaking to their family for years and years and years and years and years, you got to ask yourself the question, why hasn't this bothered the conscience of, quote unquote, Jehovah's Witnesses? It's because they don't love Jehovah. They love the organization, the group of men that make up Watchtower. And the group of men that make up Watchtower told them it was okay to not speak to family, to not speak to your close friends, not speak to people you grew up in the same house with for decades and decades and decades. And that quote-unquote Jehovah's Witness never thought once, well, how would Jehovah feel about that? I understand a person might be going through something for a period of time, but how would Jehovah feel if I don't speak to my relative? I'm supposed to be Christian. I'm supposed to be showing love. How would Jehovah feel if I didn't speak to my own son or daughter or mother or father or for decades on end? it never crossed the minds of quote unquote Jehovah's Witnesses. And that is the reason why, to me, they don't deserve the title Jehovah's Witnesses, because they don't love Jehovah. They don't love Jehovah at all. They value Watchtower way above Jehovah. And that explains everything you see about Jehovah's Witnesses. Why don't they get involved with charity? Why don't they help people? You don't have to do much. I've seen Mormons go out and help clean up parks. I've seen Mormons go out and pick up trash out of the street. The whole church gets together and they go out and they do things in the community. I've seen all kinds of churches do things to help the poor, help the sick. Why exactly is it that a quote-unquote Jehovah's Witnesses conscience isn't bothered at all if they don't group together and do anything to help the poor, and specific, the people in need, the people that they see, that they walk past when they're going door to door? They literally walk past all these homeless people and what have you. And no one, their conscience doesn't bother them. It doesn't bother them to just walk past the homeless or just hand them a magazine and count that as a placement or count that as field service time. Why doesn't this bother Jehovah's Witnesses? The shunning doesn't bother them. The not doing anything for the poor doesn't bother them, because their love is not for God. Their love is for an organization, and this organization just so happens to have a title that they like, the title of Jehovah's Witness. Well, that's prestigious to them. That sounds prestigious to them. They don't love Jehovah, but they do like the prestige that comes with the title Jehovah's Witnesses. It sounds good to them. That's all Jehovah is to Jehovah's Witnesses, is just a flowery, nice sounding part of the title of their organization of men. I have seen Jehovah's Witnesses so impressed by any little thing that Watchtower does, whether it be telling them that they can wear a beard now, or telling them that, okay, well, now it's okay for you to say hi to your own mother who's disfellowshipped. Can you imagine a group of men telling grown men and women that they're allowed to, well, not so much the women, but the men, they're allowed to wear beards now, and now you're allowed to say hello to your own mother or father that's disfellowshipped. Or maybe it's a brother or a son or a daughter. You're allowed to say hi to them now. Why doesn't any of this bother Jehovah's Witnesses? Because for 100+ years, it wasn't okay to say hi. That's why they made the change. For 100+ years, it wasn't okay to wear a beard. All this switching things around, why is it that Jehovah's Witnesses don't for a second look at the governing body and say, well, y'all need to get it right, because y'all are making Jehovah look bad because y'all done put him in your title of the name of your group. You done stole the word Jehovah and stuck it in the name of your organization here. Now your organization can't figure out up from down, left from right, beard, no beard, what to do with disfellowship people now. They can't figure out what's going on. Do you wear a tie? Do you not wear a tie? Do you wear a suit jacket? Do you not wear a suit jacket? Can women wear pants? Can they not wear pants? They can't figure nothing out. And for Jehovah's Witnesses, there ain't a single one of the maybe 4 million of them. They like to say 8 million and things of that sort. But I think they're counting Stephen Lett's facial gyrations. I don't think they're counting actual people. They're coming up with that crazy number somehow, but everything you see with Jehovah's Witnesses can be easily explained. When you think about the memorial, right? Jehovah's Witnesses just had a memorial. Well, there ain't a single Jehovah's Witness that stops and says, I wonder what Jehovah thinks about us passing on the blood and body of Christ, like not partaking. How does Jehovah feel about that? I want to do some research. If a person thought about what Jehovah might think or feel, then they would be motivated to do research. What do Jehovah's Witnesses not do? Their own research. They just read a watchtower. Whatever watchtower tells them to do in said watchtower is what they do. They don't have this desire to do any kind of personal study or research. For them, personal study is just reading whatever watchtower tells them to read, doing whatever watchtower tells them to do. But if you were to remove watchtower, if Jehovah's Witnesses get banned in other countries like they're banned in Russia, they wouldn't know what to do. You can't ban God. Russia didn't ban God. They can still pray. They can still be spiritual. They can still do all kinds of different things. But they want that organization. They want that group. People were so upset when Russia banned that cult, which, of course, it's beneficial for Russia to ban extreme, destructive cult. But the point is, people were so upset about Jehovah's Witnesses being banned in Russia. Well, they didn't ban Jehovah. There was never anything that said anything that there was a ban on Jehovah. It was just a ban on an organization. But these people love Jehovah. Why in the world do they have to have watchtower? Why can't they worship Jehovah without watchtower? Where in the Bible does it say you cannot worship Jehovah without watchtower? It's not even a thought in their heads. They are not thinking about Jehovah ever. The only thing they think about is watchtower and the feeling that they have when they are putting on a suit, a tie, and all the getting ready for the meeting, and they're getting called on. They put their hand up. They're answering all these questions. Jehovah's Witnesses obviously never loved the door-to-door work, because you don't hear any outcry. Anybody, no one questioned the governing body of Watchtower when they told Jehovah's Witnesses, well, there's COVID, there's all these things. Y'all are just, we'll get you some letters, some paper. Y'all write on the paper. Y'all send that out. No one questioned any of it. No one thought, well, what does Jehovah think? Is Jehovah worried about COVID? Does Jehovah want us to spread the message? There was never a thought. Never occurred to any of them. How does Jehovah feel? Standing next to carts instead of going door to door. Jehovah's Witnesses used to use a scripture in the Bible about going from door to door. Well, if Jehovah's Witnesses felt Jehovah wants them to go from door to door because it says so in the Bible, they would have never started standing still next to carts. They did that because Watchtower, an organization, a group of men with a bunch of titles, told them to. I think with Jehovah's Witnesses, you could easily also look at Bethel and how Bethelites are treated. Why is it that Bethelites are, to a certain extent, with Jehovah's Witnesses, treated like celebrities? These people have not seen God or anything of that sort. They're not necessarily closer to God than anybody else, but they're closer to what? Governing body. They've got a title called Bethelite, right? They're closer to the inner workings of that organization of men that they call Watchtower, and that is why Jehovah's Witnesses darn near worship Bethelites. Now, in the Bible, it talks about Jehovah being a jealous God and there should be nobody else before him and all these sorts of things. Jehovah's Witnesses have read these scriptures. They know these scriptures. They just don't care how Jehovah thinks. About the only thing that they are concerned about when it comes to Jehovah is Armageddon, and they don't want to get destroyed. But outside of death, destruction, doom, gloom, the end of the world, other than that, Jehovah's Witnesses are like 95% Watchtower and focused on Watchtower and devoted to Watchtower, 95% Watchtower, and probably 5% Jehovah. They think about Jehovah only if they think about the end of the world and Armageddon. That's when they think about Jehovah. So that's the big problem with Jehovah's Witnesses, is the hypocrisy. And they talk about love all the time. They talk about love. They've got watchtowers that they study all about love and this and that. And typically in those watchtowers, they will insert the organization. They'll use a scripture talking about love and the sort, and then they'll insert the organization talking about the brothers, not Jehovah, not God, not Jesus, this loving brotherhood. You're a part of a brotherhood, not you're close to God. You're a part of a brotherhood. It's blatantly obvious to me that not only do Jehovah's Witnesses not love Jehovah, they don't have much to do with Jehovah, but Jehovah also, or God also, doesn't have much to do with Jehovah's Witnesses. Why would you want to be a part of a group, or why would you adopt a group that puts men on a pedestal way above you? Does that make any sense to you at all? That God is going to look at all the churches, most churches. One thing you can say about churches, most churches have a lot of people in it that they're more devoted to God than they are that church specifically, because if something were to happen in that church, they just go to the Baptist church down the street. They go to Pentecost church across town. Right? They'll just go somewhere else if something were to happen in that church. Jehovah's Witnesses, something happened to the Kingdom Hall, they wouldn't know what to do. They don't even know what spirituality is. The only thing they know to do is, if Watchtower organization gives them a booklet or a magazine or tells them to go pass out invitations to the memorial, they go do that, and then they just say that that's spiritual, because they don't even know what spirituality or feeling close to God even is. Have you ever asked the question, why Jehovah's Witnesses never question anything? They just do. They don't question these men at all. Because for a Jehovah's Witness, they're devoted to those men. Why would you question them? Questioning those men would be like questioning God to a Jehovah's Witness. That's why I don't think anybody, that's one of the many reasons why Jehovah's Witnesses cannot claim, the title Jehovah's Witness, because they are 100%, their entire life surrounds Watchtower. They are 100% devoted to Watchtower. If Watchtower tells them not to take any blood at all, well, then they'll do that. If Watchtower ups and changes it and then says, well, there's some blood fractions that are okay now, no one questions, well, why didn't you get it right at first? No one is upset at them or anything. They don't even care about being right. For the most part, Jehovah's Witnesses don't even care about being right. They don't care that it's 2024 and they're still getting everything changed around because they've been wrong for so long. They don't even care about being wrong. The only thing they care is that they are a part of an organization with a flowery name, Watchtower, and it gives them titles, and they don't have to go to school for them titles. They don't have to do very much for those titles. As a matter of fact, if they have any problems or issues in the family, all they have to do is just shun the person, stop talking to them, pretend they don't exist so that they can focus more of their time and attention with Watchtower, more so than that relative. Comment down below, let me know what you think. But there is a blatant, obvious, huge elephant in the room when it comes to Jehovah's Witnesses, and they shouldn't even be using the name Jehovah. They're focused on Watchtower, not Jehovah. They're in a single Jehovah's Witness questioning Watchtower. I'm not talking about the former members, the people that have left, but questioning Watchtower as to why they've gotten their teachings wrong again. Why you got governing body members walking around with beards now? What on earth is going on? You're constantly changing things. This is irrelevant. As long as the Jehovah's Witness get to keep calling himself a Jehovah's Witness and keep calling himself a ministerial servant or elder or whatever other title they've got, they don't care. They don't care if they're standing next to a car or knocking on doors. They don't care. They don't care if they haven't spoken to their own child in 30 years. As long as they get to be a Jehovah's Witness and have a certain title, they don't care. People ask me, well, how is it that you woke up after being so focused and so devoted? The simple answer to that of how is it that I left Watchtower, where you got all these other millions of people that refuse to leave Watchtower, is simple. I was never in love with Watchtower. What I was doing in my mind, I'm doing it for Jehovah. That simple. It was that simple. That was where my devotion was. I was focused on, I'm going to Bethel because I think Jehovah wants me to go, or I'm doing this because I think Jehovah wants me to do. And then once I find out, well, Bethel is not really representing Jehovah well. You can't get any of your teachings right. You got all kinds of abominations going on at Bethel. Just everything you can think of sexually that shouldn't be going on is going on at Bethel. You got Bethel putting people out on the streets after using them for free labor. You got all this going on. Well, in my mind, there's no way possible Jehovah's using this. There's no way. It's not possible that Jehovah's treating people like this. It's Watchtower treating people like this. And then eventually I start to figure out that the rest of the doctrine is false also. Why was I doing research to begin with? Because of trying to search for what I thought Jehovah would want, or how Jehovah felt about all the stuff I saw at Bethel. I got to do some research. I got to read some scriptures. I got to talk to some people and figure this stuff out. But if a person don't care about Jehovah at all, which is 99.9% of Jehovah's Witnesses, if a person doesn't care about Jehovah at all, the thought never crosses their mind as to why would Jehovah be associated with a group of people who have all this sexual immorality going on at Bethel. You got all these elders, half of them all got baby mamas. You got all this stuff going on. You got all these elders, half of them been divorced, 5, 6, a whole bunch. All this mess is going on. Why would Jehovah be a part of it? Jehovah's Witnesses don't ask that question. They don't care. They want to have status. It's the status. It's the feeling important. It's the title. It's the whole nine. Going to assemblies, getting dressed up for the assemblies. It's the whole nine. It's getting on Zoom. Zoom, I guess, is their Facebook. Getting on Zoom and talking to a bunch of people from the hall. And it's this little small group. And in this little small group, you feel important because you have a title. That's what it's all about. It has nothing to do with Jehovah at all. Nothing. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. XWall Kill Bethelite signing out.